Stanton and the Miami Marlins travel to New York to face the Mets.
Left right field towards the corner. Gone!
The pregame's at 3:30 Eastern, followed by first pitch at 4:30. Saturday on ESPN Radio. SVP and Russillo, the podcast.
Hey, it's SVP and Russillo. Appreciate you checking out the podcast. Really interesting interview with J.J. Redick, who was very honest about a lot of different things, including why everyone in the league can't stand his team. Tim Kurjian's back. We talked baseball, which is always interesting, and Purple Rain was involved in the walk-off. Leonard Williams, NFL prospect, actually tells us where he would like to play. Good for him. And are you a believer in the Warriors? What to make of Anthony Davis's half-court struggles and the Heat? Why we hate them. The podcast starts now.
SVP and Russillo.
We will try our best over the course of our 3 hours to not use the F word 77 times. That's a pretty aggressive pace.
Sure is.
I've gotten on some benders where I've used some salty language. Not going to lie. 77 times in one 5-minute rant.
I swear. A lot.
You do. More than most people. More.
I know.
I'm not finding fault because I'm right there with you.
I'm not proud of it.
Just kind of a habit you get in. We'll talk about Brian Price's misguided rant in Cincinnati a little later. Tim Kurjian is here. I look forward to that with great. I have people just unsolicited sending me, hey, do this with Kurjian. I have family members telling me what I'm supposed to do with Tim Kurjian. I got it. We'll be all right. So Golden State's up 2-0. They were great for 12 minutes. They had a great second quarter. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well last night, and I think that the measure of a great team, the measure many times of great athletes are when you're not your best, can you still be good enough? They were last night, largely as a byproduct of their opposition, who have one great player, and they just look lost beyond Davis.
That fourth quarter, Golden State goes on that run, so they didn't have that avalanche of offense where you feel helpless. New Orleans is still thinking we're in this. But it's the kind of game, and I'll admit a lot on this show, that I watch a lot of basketball, but there's still technical stuff that I don't pick up on as quickly as I wish I did.
Like what?
So, well, I try not to, well, okay, where's the help coming? What are they doing? Is this pick and roll bait? Is this something where that's not what they're trying to do, that kind of stuff. It takes me a little longer to process it than I wish it did, but it does. Okay? So I don't like always doing the thing of, well, there are 30 guys in the world that have the head coaching job of an NBA team. But when you're at home and you're watching New Orleans just look lost that many possessions in a row, and I counted the Anthony Davis touches and potential touches where they tried to pass it to him, and a couple times that didn't work out. It's like 11 or 12. And he was gassed, but he was mad he wasn't getting the ball. So then when he does get the ball, he ends up forcing it, and it's those long drives where he's actually really good at. For a big guy, I don't know that we've ever really seen anyone that plays the way he plays that can put it on the floor and finish at the rim. He had a left-handed finish last night that's insane.
Yeah, that was
but
nice.
You're watching it, Scott, and you're going, Monty Williams, you're losing the game. This is where you lose. And Tyreek Evans, I know hobbled, game-time decision. We know his limitations as a point guard type of player.
Does
really
he?
Like that. No, but look, he's been better this year. I got to give him credit for being a little bit better.
Okay.
But when you're watching somebody brick a three when Iguodala is switched onto Anthony Davis and nobody's aware of it, or Davis makes a cut to the rim after a screen and then somebody dribbles away from him and doesn't look, if you're the head coach of the team, how do you let it happen? How do you watch possession by possession happen on offense where you go, I guess we're going to lose this one. All right, guys, let's go. It was bad.
I think what people have tried to trick themselves into believing is that the consolation prize for Westbrook and OKC not making the playoffs is, hey, at least we get to see this young, special, generational type of talent in Davis make it. And
special. You're absolutely right. He just turned 22.
Watch him play and ask yourself how many folks are there on earth that possess his size and his skill set. It's a short list. But he's on his own out there to such a degree, and I agree. And I think the Monty Williams bashing, I don't know. I find myself like the defender of the. I would defend Del Negro against the horde of everyone that thought he was awful. And I've tried to give Monty Williams sort of but he does. I watched him last night. I think it's 45 minutes, man. Give the guy a rest and just drop something. You said this before the show, and I never even thought about it. Imagine Paul with that guy. Imagine high ball screen with Paul and him. Think about what Chris Paul did with Chandler, and imagine what he'd do with Davis.
It'd be stupid, and it'd be Chris Paul going, "Hey, everybody, chill out. Pondexter, no more threes right now. Eric Gordon, you want to drive into 3 guys? We're not doing that right now." And Eric Gordon, he got it going from the outside, but with Gordon, Tyreek's been a below-the-rim guy even when he was healthy, never mind with the leg injury last night. So it's harder for their perimeter players to finish against size. So I'm not going to sit here and say Monty Williams is terrible, got to fire him and all these things, because I don't like doing that. There's some coaches I go, maybe it's time. I also think it's ridiculous to think that Anthony Davis can touch it every single possession because it doesn't work that way, and he was gassed without doing it.
Exactly.
But I don't know how you watch basically 12 minutes play out, and that's the limitation of not having a thinking point guard, where I always think the best point guards see it happening. They go, we're falling apart here. We need something that we like, that we're confident, something we're just steadier at, instead of, let's dribble it around here a little bit. And, we see teams lose games with bad possessions. Last night felt like it was 12 minutes.
It's SVP and Russillo. You can celebrate birthdays with a smile. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN for offers starting at $29.99. And you saw the frustration manifest itself in Davis just forcing things that, look, he's special, but he's not superhuman. And at some point,
and Draymond's giving it to him, you know. So
yep. And it was just that's the type of game where if you're New Orleans, you're getting your best opportunity because it's the rare night where those threes for Steph, those knockout punches. There were flurries, but those Tyson-like haymakers that would just knock you out didn't land. There were a number of different threes that were halfway down for not as much Thompson, but for Curry last night. So they're giving you windows where you can creep back in, but New Orleans just is so limited that that's as close as they're going to get. They're going to get close, but they're not going to get over the hump. And Golden State's up 2-0, and they now expected to move on as they were from the very beginning. They're the favorites to win the whole thing. Maybe as you watch them play, you feel like this is the team that'll win it all?
I do. Do you feel like last night gives you an indicator that wait?
No, not at all.
Good. I believe that is the right answer.
Well, you're not all 16 are going to be works of art. It's just not going to be that. Just win the games, make it as short as you can, and gather some rest along the way. That's the way I feel about it.
They were terrible in the first quarter, great in the second. They're up at 3 at the half, and you're right. They didn't. We get spoiled with them. We want every 3 that goes up to be that dagger 3, and it didn't really happen. Maybe the dagger plays and Curry actually fumbled the basketball, was headed to the baseline, looked like he was going out of bounds with it, and then passes it back through traffic to Bogut, the dunk, and you go, okay, this thing.
Yeah.
But there's something about basketball when you're playing against the other 5 guys, and you go, we're better than them. We're just better than them. And I think they figured that one out in game. Well, they figured out before the playoffs started. So I'm with you, but we're of the position of believing in the Warriors. If you don't believe in the Warriors, you're just going to believe that last night's an indicator that they're not for real, and that's where we'll just disagree.
Yeah, you can have fun with that. Any issue with Kerr not being coach of the year?
Yeah, I thought so.
I look at Atlanta went from 38 wins to 60, so it's an improvement of 22, and there's Budenholzer did an unbelievable job. And that whole Spurs philosophy, spread them out, a bunch of guys that can shoot, and they're the best team in the East. It just seems to me that there's a pushback on Kerr that he stepped into just a ready-made situation. Like he moved in. It was an what's the term they use?
Foundation was built already.
Move-in ready. Yeah. Like he didn't have to. We need some crown moldings. We need to get some better appliances. No, like he walked in and it was Sub-Zero and granite. Like it was laid out. He just had to move in and put his toothbrush on the holder. I don't think that's fair at all.
Yeah, but coach of the year is it's like Brady dating Giselle or being married to her. Is he going to win an award for that? You go, well, that's kind of what's supposed to happen.
Brady's won every award there is for life.
But if I'm trying to think of a good one here without being too mean, but if Andrew Luck started dating, I don't know, Scarlett Johansson, you'd be like, man, good for that guy. That's my coach of the year. That's what the coach of the year award is. You don't like Brady. It makes sense.
Here's what just happened on SVP and Russillo. I gave you a Sub-Zero and granite reference on a house, followed up immediately thereafter by Luck dating Scarlett Johansson.
I didn't see that coming.
Nor did I.
And the Hawks had the 1 seed, so pretty simple.
Okay. Done and done.
SVP and Russillo.
JJ, I was sitting at home on my couch watching, but I'm reading the tweets from Simmons, who I think was there. Ryan's tweeting about it. The energy, the atmosphere of the building for the first game of the first series of the playoffs felt entirely different given who you were playing. How would you describe what the building was like, what the energy was like, the emotion of that first game against the Spurs?
Would definitely agree with that. I think the energy in the building was amazing. Our fans were awesome last year during the playoffs. I've only been here 2 years, so I can only speak to the last 2 seasons in the playoffs. But they really bring it during the playoffs. Their energy, I think, was a big lift, especially during that Golden State series last year. Game 5, coming back home after the Sterling fiasco kind of broke, and helping us win Game 7. And then Game 1 the other night, they were awesome and definitely gave us a big lift.
Ryan pointed out, and I agreed with him. I didn't notice it, but then I went back and looked. It seemed like Chris Paul it was such a flurry of emotion and physical and emotional energy, like he needed a timeout just because he had to come and gather himself. Did you sense from him, your on-floor leader, that I'm putting every ounce of energy I have into every second of every possession?
I did sense that. Chris is a guy who plays that way every night, though. There's regular season games in February where he exerts that amount of energy. So for me, it wasn't anything different. It was just him taking it to another level like he always does. And that third quarter and fourth quarter, he was amazing and obviously gave us a big lift. But really our entire team during that stretch played extremely hard. Made it tough on them on the defensive end and played with great pace offensively.
JJ Redick hanging out with us. Defensively, I thought maybe they'd go with something different with Chris Paul, considering it looked like Parker was hobbled a little bit, and the way your team is built offensively. Do you think they'll change that up and maybe take Kawhi off one of the perimeter guys and put him on Paul earlier?
That's a possibility. When you think about a 7-game playoff series, there's going to be adjustments game to game. They're going to have to make some adjustments with Chris, what he was able to do in Game 1. I don't think they want that to happen for another 6 games. So I would assume Kawhi will guard him a little bit more. Kawhi started on me during Game 1 and then guarded Chris a little bit in the second half. For us, I think regardless of what happens, we have multiple playmakers, whether it's Chris or Blake or Jamal, and guys that they, elect to trap. Us hitting Blake on a short roll and having him make decisions out of that is good for our team. He's done that all year for us, and he's a great passer, too.
Because Austin's on the team now and his dad's the coach, is it tougher for you guys to complain about Doc because you're afraid he'll tell on you?
No, Austin complains about Doc, too, so it's all good.
Yeah, we had Austin on when he was getting ready for the draft, I remember, and I said, do you want to play for Doc? And he's like, not really. But now, look, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, man, I think if any team could handle that kind of dynamic, it's our team. We got a lot of vets on our team. We're all trying to do the same thing. We've all, accomplished a lot in our careers, whether it's Chris or Blake or DJ. And really the only thing left for us is trying to get to the finals and win a championship. And we all have that same goal. So, the dynamic between Austin and Doc has not been any sort of distraction for us all season. It certainly won't be in the playoffs.
We're talking to the Clippers, J.J. Redick, and you talk about your team, and I'm trying to frame this as gently and with as much respect as I can. Ryan and I noticed that through the course of the year, when there's squabbles throughout the league, many times the common denominator is you guys. What do you sense it is about your team that other people can't stand?
Our personalities. We have guys who probably rub people the wrong way, whether that's opposing teams or the referees. If you watch a game, Chris is always yapping. That's just his personality on the court. Blake, DJ, Matt Barnes tends to get under the opponent's skin a little bit. So I think it's just our personality. Doc's always yelling on the sidelines. He's yelling at someone, sometimes us, sometimes the refs. So it's just the way that our team is built. But we tend to be in a lot of chippy games. That's definitely a theme of our team. We talk about it a lot in terms of staying off referees and keeping our heads and keeping our cool, trying not to have fourth quarter technical fouls. But sometimes that just happens in the emotion of the game.
Is it weird for you, JJ, not to be the most hated guy on your team?
I feel like I've tried to leave that part of my life behind when I left Duke. It stayed with me for a little bit, but it's been 9 years now, so I've kind of gotten used to being somewhat anonymous.
Did you get a special T-shirt that says world's greatest long 2-point shooter after the 3-point contest? Because when I was watching, I'm like, man, he's rolling, he is killing this, and then at the end they're like, I mean, how many? You had like 6 straight long twos. What happened? What did you just lose sense of where your foot was?
Well, it was the first time I've shot off a rack since like high school in the McDonald's All-American 3-point contest, and I didn't get any practice time. And it was like 8 o'clock Saturday night, an hour before the 3-point contest. We got to go in their little side court and shoot off the rack. So it was the first time I'd done it in 12 years. And as soon as I started shooting on the rack, I said, you know what? I'm probably going to shoot some long twos. Like, I just knew that I was going to do that. And sure enough, it happened when I made 11 shots in a row. And I think 5 of them were long twos. But I had some fun with it afterwards on social media. I think I posted a couple things on Instagram and Twitter, and I was really proud of the fact that I set the record for the most long twos ever in a 3-point contest.
I actually watched that McDonald's skills thing the other day. It was on. You were with what? Amari, LeBron, was Melo, right? Wasn't that the group?
It was Amari was in it. Carmelo, Chris Bosh was in my class. We had a couple other guys that didn't make the McDonald's game, Darren Williams and Andre Iguodala. So we had a pretty good high school class.
Right, because I'm watching Amari in that replay. It was on just a week ago, and I'm going, all right, that makes sense, looking at him. Did you look at him at the time going, I'm never playing in the NBA if that guy's going right in the league?
It's crazy to say this, but, when I was coming out of high school, the NBA was not even on my radar. It was such a far-fetched kind of goal that I didn't even really think about it. Growing up, from the time I was 7 years old and Christian Laettner hit the shot to beat Kentucky, I was a Duke fan. And I can remember growing up, I would cry after every Duke loss. So my entire basketball world and entire basketball goal was I want to play for Duke. And when I got to Duke, even then, the NBA wasn't really something that I dreamed about doing. And I can remember my junior year at Duke, I took Italian because I was like, hey, maybe I can go overseas and play a little basketball. And Italy seems like a cool place. So I did that. And I mean, looking back, in high school, Amari, Carmelo, those guys were on a different level physically than me. And, I feel fortunate, man. I'm living the dream every day. This is my 9th year. I've got 2 years left in this contract. I'm going to play at least 11 years in the league. It's crazy to me. I pinch myself every day.
Well, as a guy that was a Maryland fan, I figured out pretty early on that you didn't need.
I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to bring it up.
No. I just was going to say it was obvious to me you didn't need that Italian. But I'll be honest, you've been phenomenal in the league in a way that I didn't envision. I thought you're just going to be a shooter, but it's obvious. You don't need to hear this from me, but what you've become in the league has been a tribute to all the hard work, and congrats. It's going to be more than just the next 2 years beyond that, man.
I knew you were going to be good because your free throw rate went up, and you started taking more shots all over the floor. So I had to bet you go in the lottery, and I won, and that person didn't pay off. So it's been 9 years, and I'm still mad.
9 years, and they still owe you. That's a bummer, man. That's a bummer. Well, God, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It is, it is a lot of hard work, and I had an assistant coach my rookie year tell me, if you get better every summer, you'll have a job in the NBA. You'll keep a job now that you're here. So I've tried to do that every year. I think my scoring rate went up this year for the 7th consecutive year. So I've tried to improve every year, and this has been a great situation for me with the Clippers.
That's cool and all. Fun story. I still hate your guts, okay?
Okay.
Hey, seriously, JJ, thanks for the time, man. Continued success throughout the playoffs, all right?
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
SVP and Russillo.
No, but not for real.
Playoff pucks have been unbelievable. I was with you, Winnipeg. I was with you. That was an incredibly entertaining game. I don't know what specifically is going on in Winnipeg. Never been. I did trend in Canada, though, last night. Boom. So we'll be watching the playoffs tonight.
Going international.
That's what I'm doing. Next up, the world. But, hey, I got to clear my schedule tonight, man. I got to clear things out so I can sit back and see the NFL schedule. Got to clear the decks.
No one's going to agree with us on this, you realize.
I don't care. We're right.
I'm not even trying to argue right or wrong. I just don't care about it. I've become, at least for me personally, especially when it comes to schedule stuff, let me know when it kicks off, and then I'll figure it out. But you already know who you're playing, except for 2 games, which I still can't believe it was like 2005, and people still felt like the league would be out to get people.
Conspiracies!
Like, no, you play the other conference, another division in your conference, and then your division games, and then you get to the other 2. So this never does anything for me, and it's funny how, because it's the NFL, I think other guys that do what we do are supposed to say, man, just owning the calendar, owning the sports calendar. Like, the NFL does do this on purpose. They stagger the stuff out. They move the draft back. They move all these things because they try to figure out a way to own all 12 months.
And largely they do.
But I don't – sometimes it's, to me, complete overkill. So the guys can sit there in the New York City offices for the NFL and think, yeah, we did it again. Yeah, we moved around. We chunked away 2 more weeks. We did it right when baseball and the NBA playoffs. Everybody's going to be paying attention to us. I don't know how you quantify the real tangible value of that other than the made-up stuff of this is $2.7 billion in promotion. No, it isn't, because no one paid it.
No, it's exactly. It's you can put on a tinfoil hat and go out in your backyard and say that you're from another land and you're here to fight for justice.
Why do we not like it though? Do we?
Because there's nothing that we're finding out other than times and what channel. If there was a true think about it, like
no, but you're right. Like college schedules, to me, college schedules make more sense to go. Okay, here you're out of conference. This is how it works. Remember, Bama had that one year where everybody they played in conference was coming off a bye for 5 straight games or something ridiculous. I mean, there are things I think in college where you start mapping out, who's going to be able to stay ranked for however long. Where in the NFL, we're going to figure it out just because you have to play each other.
When the NCAA tournament field is released, it's this great sense of intrigue. Who do you play? Are you even invited to play? And then you get to
Kentucky in your bracket,
right? And how much garbage is that? Who seeded this thing? And then there's a true mystery because you don't know. I know who the Redskins play. They play the AFC East. I know who they play at home, and I know who they play away.
If you have season tickets, I get it, and you're trying to figure out. Our Jags game, we'll give those to Larry. We'll give our neighbor those seats.
Larry loves just being out there.
Yeah, Larry didn't get out much. Rough divorce. He went to this lunch date thing, and that backfired.
Yeah,
because he didn't know you had to pay.
And he wore a short sleeve dress shirt, which he didn't know that was
right. And then he said, "Just I'm up for anything." So Larry gets the Jags tickets.
Yep,
but. Is it fantasy related? Is it just because
no.
It's really easy to just sit there and say, well, the NFL does it. Like, everything they do is so awesome. And they're arrogant enough to believe it. And to be honest with you, like, everybody could talk about the dents of the shield. What dents? There's none. Like, bad stuff happens, and we don't see the scratch. So
it's bulletproof. It's Teflon and bulletproof.
I'm not arguing them, but I do think that there can be a line you can cross where you're so obsessed with, all right, we're going to do this here, and as soon as baseball does this, let's announce this to mess with them. And they do it, but I don't always see the point, and maybe that's because I don't get it. I don't know.
It's SVP and Russillo here on ESPN Radio. If I'm Mike Tirico, I'm interested today.
Yeah,
I'd like to know, where am I going? Hey, are we going to actually get some good games? And if you understand how the TV piece works, you know that we just won't get what NBC gets because there are only a certain amount of exposures that any one team has to have in the national television window.
And if you are also calling games on Monday Night Football, feel free to call in and let us know how it affects you too. I mean, that's a pretty unique one.
I would have to say Tirico's expectations are probably the lowest of anyone being involved because he knows what they're going to get.
And
it's a great product, Steve.
We at ESPN we'll get a shot at New England. We'll get a shot of Seattle. We'll get a shot of Green Bay. We're just not going to get the NBC. And I've said this before. NBC gets the peanut butter and the jelly. They're going to get the New England and the Denver, and they're going to put them together. We're going to get New England, and it's going to be up against, sorry, Chris Long, the St. Louis Rams, if they even play them. I don't think they do. But typically, it's because the national championship exposures are limited. NBC is going to get more Green Bay, New England, Denver, Dallas, Seattle than we will.
And we'll get a little Tennessee sprinkled in there.
Maybe
a pinch of Jags.
I don't think we had them last year. We had
a run. But see, you know what you're doing right now, and this is awesome because it's just not even accurate, but because we're downplaying the schedule, I guarantee people will go, oh, you're downplaying the NFL schedule because you just admitted you don't get the good games on Monday the way NBC does on Sunday. And
right, because we ignore the league here.
Yeah. Come in Monday. Like, did you watch last night? Nope, it was on NBC, but I can't wait for Jags-Titans.
Speaking of nope, Salty Russillo was out last night. People were firing, and it was a fun little jab. You were having a jab fest last night. Something about the second quarter, and you said, I forget what you were, whatever the comment was, you were like, nope, this is the final score. You weren't having it last night.
Can you tell the people what you did in the first half of the Bulls game last night?
Yeah, I fell asleep. So I went out to dinner with McShay, and post-gym, it was raining, and the place I wanted to go to was actually closed for serving minors.
Whoa.
Which is kind of weird. I didn't know that happened at grown-up restaurants, but it did. So
you want some suds, youngster?
So we pulled an audible, went to Brico, which is always a great meal every single time.
Love it.
So McShay and I sit down. I go, hey, I forgot my wallet. He's like, okay, this is pretty routine. So McShay pays. So I went post-dinner right home to watch Bulls Milwaukee Bucks, and I was every 2 minutes.
Whams.
Just knocking my head against the couch because I kind of go, wait a minute, maybe I'll start stretching out here a little bit. The thing is, I could have filed the game story for ESPN.com before watching the second half because it was the most predictable thing ever. The Bucks won't find a way to score. Someone will go nuts for Chicago. Butler was that guy last night, so that's what I did. And I realized Adetokounmpo is a specific player. Are you ready for this?
Yeah. An analogy that involves something?
Yep.
Good. What is he?
Talking to some of the Grantland TV guys about Jimmy Fallon's show. They go, the whole show doesn't have to be great. It has to be something that picks up virally, Twitter the next day, a video clip. Singing with Bruce Springsteen.
Lip sync.
Yeah, not Bernstein. Bruce Springsteen. So any kind of bit, as long as there's just a 2 or 3 minute video, then the show is perceived as a success because they kill it with this one little thing. And the rest of the show could be terrible. It's not. Fallon's great, and he gets it in a way that other guys don't, so he's doing a terrific job. That's who Adetokounmpo is. He'll have that play where everybody goes, this guy's ridiculous.
Put it on a vine.
But then when you watch the 30 minutes of him, you go, ooh, okay, that didn't work. So I don't understand the Bucks. They're going to upset the Bulls stuff.
They're not.
No, so I didn't have to write for ESPN.com. If you need me to write games before they end, I can do it.
SVP and Russillo.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Great to say hello for the first time, for me anyway, this year to Tim Kurjian. Timmy, we were just talking about this price thing with Cincinnati, and I mentioned your time on the beat with the Orioles. I mentioned Earl Weaver. Do you have anything anecdotally where it got this contentious, this ugly?
Well, Earl screamed at a few people. He screamed at me one time. I'm not real proud of this, but he screamed at me one night about something that I had written about the way that he argues with umpires. And it was great because he was face-to-face with me because he's almost as short as me. And he let me have it pretty good one night. And I've seen some tirades with Earl, but he wasn't yelling at us. He was yelling at the umpires or somebody else through us. And that's what made it so great. One night, poor John Habian walked the first 4 batters of the game. Walked them. So I just casually asked Earl, wow, that was he had a little trouble his first time up from AAA. And Earl just started screaming, yeah, I guess the home plate at AAA is 17 feet wide, not 17 inches wide. And I guess every hitter at AAA is 9 feet tall. So it was a tirade, but it wasn't directed to the media. Earl didn't do it that way because he liked us so much that we didn't have to hear it from him.
Who's Brian Price? Help us figure out how he could already be at this point. I know he's a pitching coach and his background, but how could he be at this point 8 games in? And honestly, Tim, I wasn't as offended as the choice of language. I was more offended that he doesn't seem to understand the job of covering a team anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ryan. First off, Brian Price is a good guy. You would like him. He was a great pitching coach. He's a really smart guy, and he's a really nice guy. And I was astonished to see how out of character he got last night. Now, I'm with you. We hear F-bombs every single day in baseball, but to tell a reporter you're not allowed to report basically where Devin Mesoraco is. That is the reporter's responsibility. And for Brian Price, a really smart guy, to not understand that it's the writer's responsibility to tell the people at home, well, the reason Mesoraco didn't hit in the ninth inning was because he's not with the team, and here's why. If you don't report that, you shouldn't be the beat guy on the team anymore. And that's where it really confused me too, Ryan, is that Brian Price is saying, whose business is that? Well, it's the reader's business. It's the public's business. Sure, you don't want the other team to know that Mesoraco's not there, but the other team is going to know Mesoraco's not there. One way or another, they're going to figure that out.
Tim Kurjian is our guest. When you think about Chicago Cubs fans, they have been patient for a long, long time. I understand why, Tim, if right now they're having a hard time maintaining that patience. Soler, Rizzo, Bryant, they go nuts last night. Addison Russell gets brought up. So you got this great talented young infield. You have another piece in Soler. Collectively, what do they add up to, do you think, in the short term?
In the short term, Scott, I think they're good. I think in the long term, they're going to be great. I think they're a contender this year, and I am 100% behind bringing Addison Russell up to play second base. As you know, the second basemen were hitting, 146 with like 1 RBI. So it was a position where they were getting zero production. This kid is ready. I was told on opening day in Chicago, one of the players whispered to me and said, he didn't mean it this way. He said, forget about Chris Bryant. Addison Russell should be here right now. He's that ready to play in the big league. So bringing him up, I'm all in favor of this. When you see him, you'll see a little bit of Barry Larkin in him. You'll see a big, strong, athletic middle infielder with great hands and great feet. And I am all in favor of seeing what these guys can do when you toss them in there. Billy Beane taught me this years ago. We'll take talent over experience anytime. And the talent now that the Cubs have in their infield and really in their outfield and all over the place is pretty impressive. It's just a matter of how long it takes that talent to learn how to play big league baseball on the big league level. It's not easy to learn the game on that level.
Tim, defending champs, the Giants are in last place. They've scored 37 runs total in 14 games. Kane is still kind of a question mark on his return. How worried are you about them?
Well, I'm very worried for the Giants' sake because the injuries that they've suffered are significant with Kane and, of course, with Hunter Pence. Their offense isn't even close to what it was last year. It wasn't great last year. Then they lost Sandoval and now Hunter Pence. And with Matt Cain being down the way he is and their starting pitching not being what it was, and let's not forget, the Rockies are better than they were last year. The Padres are way better than they were last year. And the Dodgers, despite a bunch of injuries, are playing really, really well. So I don't like in any form the spot that the Giants are in right now.
Conversely, Kansas City's off to a great start. I don't want to ask you about the start. I want to ask you about them and the A's. Is this the kind of thing where they're going to hate each other for a long, long time?
Well, they're certainly going to hate each other until the end of June because that's when they play again, and something's going to happen again.
I agree.
As we've talked about on this show, fellas, baseball players are the most vengeful people in the whole world. And if you mess with one of their guys or you mess with the game, you are going to pay for it, either immediately or eventually or both. And in this case, this is John Belushi. It's not over until we say it's over. And the Royals and the A's don't believe this is over, so there'll be more fireworks. I'm still a little confused about whether this is good for a team. When I covered the Rangers a million years ago, Doug Rader told me once, I was hoping we wouldn't go through the whole year without a really good fight because he really believed, and many people are with him, that a good fight or a good confrontation like that or a really emotional situation brings the team closer together. I'm not sure I totally understand that, but there's something really going on between those two teams, and we're going to see it again in a couple of months.
Tim, I like music. And I like movies, the cinema. And if you take music and movies and you mix them together, man, you really got something. I was watching that Purple Rain the other day.
I can't do this. I'm too old for this. Go ahead. What did you see?
Well, Prince is in it, and I like him a lot. But then they also have Morris Day and The Time. You remember them? They had some hits. I'm gonna play a little clip from you, and I just want to know if you can tell me the next line of this song. Are you ready? Here's Morris Day and The Time. Do you know the next line, Tim?
No, what is it?
Oh. That's Jungle Love by Morris Day and The Time.
Now you're bringing props to make me look stupid. Oh, God.
I've had all off season to think about it, and I have a stash of weapons. I have people from all over the world giving me suggestions. This show will be over, and I'll still have extras in my back pocket.
I know, but just start with the Ravens quarterback, please.
Joe Flacco.
And it was his wide receiver, that number 12 guy who that bombed you that night. What was that guy's name?
Jacoby Jones? Tim Kurjian, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have you back, pal. Have a good day. See ya.
SVP and Russillo.
Mayo's the best condiment.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
SVP and Russillo.
Russillo and I just spent the last 5 minutes doing fake Gruden conversations, looking up at the sound, with the sound off. I don't know how much of it we can do on air, but a lot of it involved like Columbia House CDs.
Yeah, we were trying to think if you're sitting there and you're with the guy and you're doing all these Draft Academy shows, which, by the way, I'm shocked that Jameis Winston did that. Okay, let's sit in a room with Harbaugh, who will have nothing to do with you. We'll have a TV camera rolling. We're going to ask you all these tough questions, so now it has to be advertised once again, all the things you did wrong. Great for us, but I'm surprised you would do it. But then if you had somebody else who's make-believe in Gruden, and most of it we can't share, but we got into this thing, and your voices are always better than mine, but
doesn't matter.
You ever sign up for 12 CDs and check the box for the extra 2, agreeing to a 2-year agreement where you pay full price for 10 more CDs and never did it?
How many of them were Eagles?
Yeah. Steve Miller Band, the blue one.
That's good smoking music.
I checked the box too. You're cool. I don't know who he is or if he becomes this thing. We've been playing with this Favre SEC mountain lion voice that
doesn't matter because it was really funny to us, and that's what we were just doing moments ago.
Don't worry about that. No one paid Columbia House.
They're still looking for me.
What happened to mini discs?
What? So what happened yesterday? We love Levitard. Let's frame it this way.
This is such a Levitard segment.
Yep.
Because that's what they do. They go, hey, Mike and Mike are great.
But
hammer time.
I'm a big fan of the show. I love it. It's loosey-goosey. I think when the show goes off the rails, that's when it's at its best. But their heat segments have been tough to endure.
I don't like the heat. Breaking news. But I try to get to the root of my problem. Is it because I don't like the baseball team and their ownership so much? That doesn't seem fair.
They're high on your hate list.
I respect Spoelstra. You got to respect Riley. And I respect the fact that they've been successful. But basically it was you got a player on loan for 4 years because Wade was really good and then he went back home. Okay? So it doesn't feel the way other things feel. But I don't even care about that. But I realize that I think part of it is because Levitard's show, when I hear their heat segments, and they're doing their show nationally, but also with a local background of a really long time, so maybe they're right, and they're getting their information from the heat, and they're doing it that way. And Sedano and the times we've been in here, and I think all those guys are great, but when I hear their heat segments, I lose my mind because I feel like they just sound as bitter as the team themselves. And Le Batard would completely resist that and go, are you kidding me? I'm just getting blamed the same way I get blamed with being Captain Patriot over here when you know me day to day. That's just not really the truth.
Yeah, you're Lieutenant Governor Patriot.
So I was listening to him talk about it yesterday, and the Riley stuff is just as petty as the LeBron stuff. And there's a way to tell the LeBron story too, Van Pelt, where you can make it look really bad. You can tell a version of the LeBron exit where you go, this guy did this, and he's little, and he completely deceived them, and on and on and on. By the way, did kind of some of the same stuff to Cleveland when he showed up to your doorstep, and you were just as excited. But I always feel like the Heat, the Miami-based Heat segments are those that I resist, and maybe I don't get it because I'm seeing it from a national perspective and not being in that city.
And the crux of the Riley, the headline, headline or storyline, this is both. This is a headline, and it becomes a storyline when Riley says this.
No more smiling faces with hidden agendas. Okay, so we'll be going in clean.
Sometimes you say it without saying it, and sometimes you might as well just have said, hey, LeBron was, he did his dirty on the way out.
Right. We drafted Shabazz Napier because we thought we wanted him, and then he decides he wants out of there. Riley should have, I believe, done a better job of understanding how fragile that relationship was and that LeBron wasn't thrilled with the team. Like, I look at the team that played against the Spurs, and LeBron's going, I'm supposed to carry this thing moving forward another 3 or 4 years. I still thought he'd come back for one, but then when he left, we added all these other things in there that may all be true, but I still thought it was one core thing that the group in Cleveland made more sense for him moving forward than what was left over in Miami.
But what happened? What was said that was the crux of this whole? Wait, what?
Oh, well, yeah, on Le Batard show yesterday. Shane Battier, who played for the Heat, okay, lives down there, who's an incredibly smart guy, works for us up here. It became this conversation where the guys on Le Batard show, really it was two guys just going crazy and Le Batard letting them. But it was the idea that we're all of a sudden all over Kyrie Irving because of the first game. And then it really becomes not a Kyrie Irving segment. It becomes a anti-Cleveland Heat segment where, oh, Kyrie's not this, Kyrie's not that. We talked about how good he is, but I don't think any of us have said he's now better than Dwayne Wade. But Greeny brought up on his show yesterday, this is a very odd family tree of stuff here, but that he thought Kyrie Irving maybe is the best player that LeBron would play with in the playoffs. I don't agree with that. But then Shane Battier said that this was the motivation for why everyone, at least on the ESPN radio network yesterday, Greeny and Cowherd, were talking up Kyrie Irving so much.
Shane Battier.
It's about star building. You know that.
What?
You know we're trying to sell tickets. We're trying to sell the game 2 on Wednesday, ESPN, 9 o'clock Central. You know what? That's all that is. We're trying to sell that. Listen, Dwayne Wade, 4th best shooting guard of all time.
Okay. 9 o'clock Central. That's a 10 o'clock start, so that actually isn't right.
There's just no part of that that's right.
Not one part.
There's none. And I'm going to tell you why. We're not that smart. We don't wake up. Some of the guys at this place don't even show prep, okay? So the idea that you would go, let's build up Kyrie Irving all day tomorrow on radio so that everybody's locked into game 2. And that's Shane Battier, who's a really smart guy who played in the league that actually believes that that's how much work we put into creating stories so that people will watch Game 2, which, again, is on TNT.
Not ESPN. And then what happens is...
Those Miami talk show hosts are the worst.
But what happens is that becomes gospel. And then all of the...
Right, if Battier's saying it, you're in the car going, exactly, that's why Greeny said it.
Every fan out there turns into a human bobblehead, and you just start going, see? There's the ESPN guys. They're just talking about them because they got the game. Except the game's not even on our network. It's not even on our air.
I can promise you, and you don't have to believe anything I say to you ever in the 6 years of this show. You can hate my guts. I get it. But none of us have ever said, let's do something wild today. Let's create a star. Let's get everyone talking about, let's pick Kyrie Irving. Let's pick Kyrie Irving. Let's say he's better than Wade. Let's say it's LeBron's best teammate. And that way my mom will watch Game 2 of the Cavs. It doesn't happen, ever. Not once. 9 years here for me. You've been here
15.
30.
Dude. SVP and Russillo were presented by Progressive Insurance. Pick from a range of coverage options with a Name Your Price tool to find a price that works for you.
Are we unfair here? Are we?
No, we're not unfair.
I know Le Batard would never go after another show, so I just want to be fair.
It's when Battier says it, then
I was so bummed out in the car. I'm like, what?
Because that means he believes it.
Right.
That means he believes that, like, there's some memo. You work here, man. You're on the distribution list. Did you get that? Pump up Kyrie. Now, I'll take the opposite tact here, where I'll say they beat a team that no one even thought should have made the playoffs. If they win the next round and then they win the round after that, all right, now we can really start talking about what Kyrie is. And he's fun to watch. But the idea that he'd be pumped up to try to convince people to watch a game at 9 o'clock Central, which would be 10 o'clock East Coast, which that isn't when it starts.
I give Batty a pass on that. You're on the air and you start talking and you go, you're not thinking about the time zones.
Okay, well, at least get the network right. If you're going to accuse us of pumping it up to watch the game, it's not on our air. Just those Miami guys. I'm going to join the fun here. No, actually, those are my folks, man. I was just down there. I'm trying to claim residency. What is it, 6 months in a day? Is that what I got to get? It's going to be tough to pull off. But again, you can enjoy Game 2 on TNT, Cleveland, and Boston.
SVP and Russillo.
It's fun. It's always a good opportunity for us to meet guys that are going to be drafted and drafted high. We had Amari Cooper in here yesterday. I asked him off air, Leonard, are you going to go to the draft? He said no, and we talked about this early in the show. A bunch of guys aren't going. I find that interesting. We said if we were ever in the position you're in, we'd go just because you'd be so hyped to go with your family, etc. Are you going?
Yeah, I'm definitely going, and I agree with you, and I feel like it's a big part of the process, and it's a part of my dream to always go up there, shake the commissioner's hand, and it's almost like a part of like graduation into the NFL. So I want to enjoy that process.
When people ask you, GM types, to critique yourself, evaluate yourself, I mean, if I were to ask you what you're great at, I mean, I could throw the tape on. That's obvious. If someone says, what do you wish you were great at and you're working at becoming great at? What do you feel like is a work in progress for you on the football field right now?
For me, I would say the biggest thing is consistency. And, I feel like I show that I can get off the ball really fast and use my hands really well. And then in other cases, I don't get off the ball as fast, and I don't use my hands as well.
Is that technique, or is it just being lazy or taking a play off? Because they're going to say, do you take plays off?
I really don't take plays off. If you watch my film, a lot of coaches say that I'm the type of guy who works really hard on the field and, chases balls down and stuff like that. But I think it comes from, playing in a bunch of different type of schemes. And, I've been playing in a lot of 3-4 lately. And it's more of like in a read compared to an attack type defense. So when I finally get in attack mode, I got to get that read out of my mind. So you got to like kind of flip the switch. And every once in a while it kind of gets to you. So you're like kind of oozing off the ball instead of like attacking and stuff.
Leonard, when you talk about read and attack there in the system, are you saying then because of some of the critiques are not as always impactful on, say, third down, is that because of the system or is that because of your read?
I guess it's, just like I said, it's just more based on my consistency and being able to flip the switch from playing in a read defense compared to an attack defense. And, when I'm playing a read, just know that I'm not coming off the ball as much. And then when I start in an attack defense, I just need to remind myself that I'm reacting off the ball instead of the guy.
How much do the rumors impact you? And you can sit there and say, hey, I'm happy to go wherever I go. But if there's a move at number 2 or something happens with the quarterbacks, that could directly impact you. How much do you think about that, or at least talk about with the people that are planning out these next couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah, I think about it a lot. And, I try not to let it get to me too much because after every visit I take, I feel like that's going to be the spot I go to. So, it gets more confusing as it gets closer to the draft. So you never know where you're going to go. But, if it was a preference, I'd probably want to go to Tennessee at this point just because, I really like their D-line coach and I really like their defense coordinator. And, I had a good relationship with those guys.
I always find it fascinating because
And by the way, thanks for saying you'd want to go somewhere.
Yeah, that is a first.
Rarity.
Really?
No one ever says. Like,
it's awesome.
Yeah, and it's cool because when you pick, and you coming out of high school as an elite talent, you get to pick where you go, and now it's this odd deal where they're gonna pick you. It must feel helpless, and yet it must feel incredibly exciting. How hard is it to remain patient when as you say, a dream is about to come true?
It's really hard, just like you said, we don't get the option of choosing where in high school they're recruiting you, and now it's almost like it's flipped. You're recruiting them to pick you. So, it's kind of hard to just stay patient and, let all the process play out. And then you never know where you're going to go, so the draft day is going to be a surprise.
What's been surprising about the process? And anything that's when they sit down and they talk to you and they ask you about stuff, what's been surprising about that?
The biggest surprise through the whole process for me is just, you know, I thought that it was going to be like the training for the combine and then the combine, and then I thought that was it. And then I didn't know all about the team visits and how many you got to take and all the interviews and media and stuff. So many stuff you got to do. So I'm living in like hotels every night, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to, you know, get ready for the draft. It's like, I don't know, it's a lot.
Leonard Williams in studio. You're a huge human being, but you carry it incredibly well. You've got the big hair, so you look like you're supposed to be somebody. Do you get stopped being in L.A. over the last year on campus where people go, I think I'm supposed to have my picture taken with you, but I'm not sure what you do? Does that happen?
Yeah, actually, a lot of times, you know, people may not even know my name or what I do or anything, but they're just like, wow, you're a big dude. Like, do you play football? And, like, sometimes I was just like, nah, I don't play football. Like, I don't do
What do you
anything.
say? What's the best lie you've told to try to get out of having to take a picture?
The funniest one I've tried that it didn't really work so well. I told somebody they were like, are you Leonard Williams? And I was just like, nah, I'm like his twin brother. So, like, it didn't really work that well.
Frank Kaminsky, the kid who plays, the guy that won Player of the Year for Wisconsin, said he tried at Wisconsin. He tried to tell a dude he was on the chess team, but the guy that he tried to run that line to was actually on the chess team.
Oh wow!
So it backfired. Now, I know you partnered with Speedstick leading up to the draft. Tell me what all is going on, because I know people are always fascinated with the journey. I guess they can kind of tag along with us.
Oh yeah, that was the part. It was a great deal to partner with those Speedstick because. You know, they actually gave me an opportunity and a platform to, you know, share my story. And, you know, not many people know about my background and story. And I feel like they did a good job of allowing me to, you know, let the people know about that.
What would surprise people? Because people have perceptions about a guy that plays football, big guy.
Yeah.
They just make assumptions about who you are. What do you think would surprise people about who you really are?
I feel like a lot of people say it's, you know, a lot of people come to me and say, oh, you're so lucky and all this other stuff. But, you know, a lot of people don't realize how many odds that I had, you know, so many things I had to overcome to get to this position that I am now. And, you know, I've come from a harder background than most people that I know. And, you know, I had to work so hard to get here. So I feel like that's a lot of things that people don't know.
I imagine no one messes with you, correct?
Yeah, besides my big brother.
How much is he bigger than you?
I'm bigger than him now, but.
What are you right now, height and weight?
I'm 6'5", 310. And then my big brother is like 6'5", like 290 right now. But, you know, leading up until this point, he was always the big brother, so I like to mess with him now.
Hey, the payback's got to be brutal. It's got to be brutal.
Yeah.
Is there one thing when this dream comes true? Is there one thing you want to do? I mean, is there one thing you want to buy? Is there one place you want to go? Because your life? Well, I mean, you get a key to a door not many people get. Is there something that will represent the culmination of the dream coming true?
I've never really thought about it in that way, but the one thing that I kind of have thought about is, you know, buying my mom a house because, you know, one thing that I had to overcome growing up, like I talked about a lot of things overcoming, but it was moving around a lot and, you know, being from house to house to house and, you know, having to lose friends, meet new people and all this stuff. So, you know, I have an 8-year-old little brother, and I'm looking forward to, you know, getting him my mom a house so he can grow up in.
That's tremendous, man. Tremendous. A lot of people, and I know the show, we're talking to Todd McShay, a lot of people feel like if we're going to bet money on somebody to be a star in the next 5 years, we'd bet on you. So congrats with where it's gone, and all the best with where it takes you.
Thank you.
I'm getting ready to say something just remarkably stupid.
SVP and Russillo. ESPN Radio, bringing you directly to the biggest events in sports.
Center field, well hit, Hunter back, out of here!
From opening day of baseball,
Throw to the plate, safe at the plate!
right through the World Series.
For the third time in 5 seasons, the San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
Whether it's LeBron, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, when the NBA tips off, ESPN Radio is right there when a champion is crowned.
Have a new world champion. The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
And when the magic of bowl season arrives, ESPN Radio is your home for the new college football playoff.
The college football playoff first national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The biggest events in sports can be found right here on ESPN Radio. Earlier today on SVP and Russillo.
You went Kurjian or you went Ryen Reading?
Kurjian.
This is Tim Kurjian, first visit of the year. Do you know the next line, Tim?
No, what is it?
O-E-O-E-O. That's Jungle Love by Morris Day and the Time.
Now you're bringing props to make me look stupid. Oh, God.
That was because I asked him if he knew the next line to this song. O-E-O-E-O. Also, Ryen was reading.
Your job is not to sniff out every bleeping thing about the Reds and bleeping put it out there for every other bleeping guy to hear. It's not your job. You want me to be candid with you? I've been candid with you. I bleep and talk to you guys like men. I tell you what the bleep is going on with the team. I tell you how I'm feeling as candidly as I can. And this bleep, you've got to watch this bleep and bleep. I've got to bleep and read that on a bleep and tweet on our own people in here, and we don't have a bleep and player. How the bleep does that benefit the Reds?
That was difficult.
That was skillful, though. That was really skillful. Well done.
People were tweeting in asking if Ryen could do a Pulse of the Nation version of that, which I think actually would be.
Dude, that's possible. Easy, actually.
You got to know what we're doing. I got to learn from a bleep and tweet.
There you go. You ask from your lips to God's ears.
My question is for Outsider. How are you today, Mike?
Great.
Do you unfollow me on Twitter?
Did I? No.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Why are you saying I did?
Because you did.
I did not.
I just retweeted the picture of the shirt, the Lady Killer.
Yeah.
And looking at Outsider Mike's. Oh.
You want to bet a hungry man that I didn't?
Whoa, doubling up?
I'm still on it. I don't know what happened there. It just showed that you had unfollowed me. Did you just mess with this a little bit?
I think paranoia setting in.
Is Caesar managing this account?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just double checking.
No, I would never do this.
A second ago it said you weren't. That was okay. I can handle that. I just want to know where we're at.
Let's just.
Ryan's worried that we're not good friends, and I don't know.
You ranked me third out of the people on the show you liked. There's three of us.
I'm just taking inventory here. I don't think you were all right that you thought that he unfollowed you.
I just want to know where we're at. That's all.
Well, I think you know he ranked you 3.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother level.
That's tough. I mean, Van Pelt's giving me money out of his own pocket.
Yeah, I bought the friendship.
Yeah.
I got your video game. Remember that Applebee's date that went terrible after Tinder?
Yeah.
And you spent all your FIFA money on apps and margaritas? And then who rolled in with a brand new copy of FIFA?
That was you.
Seems like got to be higher than 3, you know.
But I still, every single day, get my timeline loaded up. Is Ryan going to do the Hungry Man bet? Is Ryan going to do the Hungry Man bet?
Oh, he's going to do it. It has to be the right day.
What day would be a good day?
No gym, no games to watch, nothing going on.
So it sounds like July All-Star break.
Maybe.
Could
be. They have summer. They have festive summer meals. Maybe like a Hawaiian pig with pineapple.
Yeah, with some chopped up mango and what have you.
Rainbow sprinkle, kind of a rainbow sprinkle deal. Cupcake.
I too have a query for Outsider Mike. If today's shirt is the Lady Killer, what are the names of some other shirts that you possess?
We got the Ultimate Club shirt, which I was going to wear last Friday for EDM Friday. Another thing you missed out on. So we got the Ultimate Club shirt.
Lady Killer.
Lady Killer. The Backroom Brawler shirt, because I've gotten into some scraps in one shirt that I've kind of held around. It's got blood stains. I should wear that someday. You'd love that one.
Okay. How do we not start the show with you getting in a fight?
Okay.
We can't waste it right now.
Yeah, that's true. We need a promise. We need a promise of the story of the Backroom Brawler shirt and why there's still blood on it. I mean, how we haven't managed to get some stain remover on that and get it treated.
Is there a shirt that you've named "I Stand in Lines"?
Terrible. Wow.
We need to do an out of rotation shirt day again. I haven't been around to partake in one.
I think mine are still over there in the corner somewhere on top of one of the. I've been supposed to throw them away, but I can't bring myself to actually put them in the trash can.
They're not at the house. They've been in the studio over a year.
They have been.
I'd like to do it again so UVM can use it as a promotional device.
Yeah, send out a
pamphlet of Russillo.
Hey,
nice Robert Graham.
Come check out your proud alum and a shirt that he hates so much he wore it as a joke, and you slapped it on a brochure and sent it out to people. Good times.
It's like Marilyn being like,
"Yeah,
come to the journalism school function and you in a tank top."
I don't have any of those.
I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get an EDM tank top with an owl on it.
It's a good plan. So we have a promise of a Hungry Man dinner being eaten at some point, and we have a promise of the rest of the story of the Backroom Brawler shirt. And if that's not enough to keep you coming back, I don't know what is.
SVP and Russillo. Miguel Cabrera leads the Detroit Tigers into Anaheim to face Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels. The pregame's at 7 Eastern, followed by first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN2 and on ESPN Radio.